Tracy of Dynamic Life Goals. I am happy to introduce you to Miss Cassandra Mack of Aneu You Wellness. She's the very first of our dynamic business network, which is, highlighting entrepreneurs, business owners, and individuals with a positive message and making a positive impact on our community. So welcome, welcome, Cassandra Mack.
Thank you, thank you. It's so great to be the first with
Yes,
something like I'm the first. No one can ever like take that away from me. I'm like, but I was the first though. So
right. All right. So we are excited and happy to have you here. I found out about your upcoming women's conference,
oh,
and
yeah.
yes, so that I was like, yeah, we have to start it off with you. So
Right.
we're gonna start first. I just want to know, who is Cassandra Mack?
Let me tell you,
Yeah, okay.
that's such a loaded question. Everybody
Yes.
that knows me, let me just say that, knows I come with a lot of things. Okay. And of course we've been talking, so you
Yeah.
know that I do a plethora of things. But at the end of the day, I'm, a daughter, I'm, a girlfriend, no siblings, so no nieces and nephews, but I'm everyone's auntie. Like I'm one of those that I'm a people person,
Right.
was a granddaughter, all of that. And I I watch the way things have been going within our society, and people are losing touch with people first,
Right.
then things, and I've always been a big component of that. So I'm a person first. Like it's so funny, people turn around and ask, well, what do you do? Da, da, da. That's kind of our
Right.
thing here in the States, right? That's the first thing. But you go and travel enough, that's not the first question you hop in on. You hop
Right.
on who people are and what they like or what they don't like, or I'm just an everyday person like anyone else. I like my quiet time. I really am a constant learner, so I'm always like reading, educating myself after being educated, whether it's formally or informally or however. I just like and enjoy life.
Yes. Well, that helps you relate to other people and with everything that you're doing. So, with being, like you said, a daughter and, all these things, that is going to help you with a new you, right?
Yes,
So
it
now
is.
I'm going to ask, what brought you into a new you wellness? What
Oh,
brought Cassandra Mack into a new you
let me
wellness?
tell you,
How that ties
I
together? Yes.
really can say this has been a journey.
Yes.
So from probably childhood up until now, we don't really figure it out when we're kids, because you're born to whom you're born to. So you don't really think that, oh, this is good, this is bad. You don't know what you don't know, right? And from growing up to college, then to young adult to adult, and then you move away from home and you're doing this and this and all these other things. What I didn't realize in my journey, that I had parents. I was born and raised from Southern parents, but in the North, born and raised in New York. And I didn't realize what value that was adding. So like the things that the other kids were able to do, I was not able to do. So you a kid and you like, why can't I
Yeah.
have that Dorito?
Right.
What's
Right.
going on? Like, why can we not have some ice cream? Like, what is happening? And that just was not a pluck, like that just wasn't things that was constantly in the house. I
Right.
grew up with, a dad that was a farmer. And so we were like the few probably in our area, because they moved from Manhattan over to Westchester. We were in White
Okay.
Plains, and it's like he found, I don't know where he found it, but he found himself a plot of land and was growing
I
his
know White
vegetables.
Plains,
And I
yeah.
was like, what's happening? But I was there with them. We
Right.
we were growing things. I was also part, even with the school I would attended, I was able to do things like at the Botanical Garden. So we were going back and forth all over, still going back and forth to the city, whether it was
Right.
there, the Bronx, Queen. We still had our toes everywhere to
Yeah.
do a little bit of everything. So as I matured and got older, I realize now, of course, everyone goes buck wild that first year. What they say, that freshman 15,
Right.
because I was like, yes, I can finally have
Mhm,
what
you're
I want
free.
to have. I
Yeah.
am free. Until those 15 pounds came on, and you were like, okay, maybe I'm not that
Not
free.
so much, right.
Not so much. This ain't cute. I ain't looking cute. But it just kind of ballooned, and it was like I did other things. I was like, from college, I was immediately into the beauty world, so was able to like co-own the salon from there, and then just really dug deeper into what people were doing or not doing. And it was always fascinating to me, especially with us in our hair care and just watching. I'm like, how is it that our hair is not growing in rapid speeds, but yet I can cut all other different ethnicities and boom, they got to come back to me damn near 2 weeks later. Like, what's happening? So that kind of jarred my
Right.
like thought process. But I realized the older I was getting, the more and more and more I was more like how my parents raised me.
Yes.
So it
Okay.
was the vegetables. I grew up like there's a place here. I'm in North Carolina, and there's a
Yes.
place here that does press juice. And so it was, we were just
Mhm.
talking in the store, and I just get bulk. And
Right,
I said, I grew up with juicing. I learned that from my dad. And he
right.
just looked at me like, what?
So
I'm like,
so yeah.
yeah.
So as far as a new you wellness, what is your mission? What's your goals for that?
The
With
mission really is to help others because there's a lot that we don't know. What
right.
I've learned along the way is food and
Mhm.
how we eat and our choices and what we
Yes.
eat is such learned behavior, right? So that comes from, again, from the upbringing. Now
Right.
I took it even a step further because all the things I've done,
Mhm.
I'm one of those that I will try things. I'm
Yeah.
just like, let me dive deep. I'm just going to do this, do that. But I've
Okay.
also been one to pay money for other services that insurance does not cover. And I really want to say that had a lot to do with my parents, the upbringing with that, because they've never been like medicine fiends. I'm not taking that medication. And I know it's the era in which they grew up in because they were segregation and we're post segregation. So the trust levels were not really
Exactly.
there as much, right? Where when my generation is just like, oh, you just tried, they said, okay, they said to take it, you take it. But I just kind of really was getting more and more into, as much as I was moving about with work and whatever it is, it still was a question because I'm like, why do we not have these options? So I was always the inquisitive kid.
Yes. Okay.
I just always wanted to know a little bit more. And then I dug deeper about, let me find out. And then fast forward, I was able to meet people within my area because I was big on massages and lymphatic massages. Like there was things that I already knew because of my industry. And we always did different things amongst each other, whether it was stylists or estheticians or, whatever the case is. And from one thing led to the next. So then I met another lady that's who I trained under Wanda underneath doing the wellness
Yes.
training certifications and all that, had three different types of cancers and beat all three of them. And when I was training with her, I said, this is it. I
Okay.
knew right then and there that this is where I was fit to be, even with all the things that I've done and enjoyed it and did it well. But I just knew right then and there. And the mission is to help others to understand where they are in their place.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Like
Yes.
we're constantly in a spiral, just constantly go, 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 go. And things are obviously so different than what it was 50 years ago, hell, 20 years ago. And so that's really the mission, to help them learn.
So let me ask for our viewers, like with a new you wellness, I know you want to help people. What specifically, like what problem do you solve? Is it my, yes.
I what And it's such a unique question because it should be just a one word answer, but it's not. What
Mhm.
I'm doing is I'm taking all my experiences that I've had throughout my time and being able to help people really get a grasp of what wellness is, because they think, and I can't speak for others, but people automatically think food, right? But it's so much more, because I just encompass all my wellness through physical, emotional, mental,
Yeah,
spiritual, and financial practices. Because without all of those being whole, we're not really whole,
I agree.
because one helps the other one out. Like if this one isn't right, then that one isn't right, then this one offsets
Everything
that one.
starts here. Yeah.
Everything starts here. So I've always been a big component of mental health with therapy. And then I was huge on, like I said, I was always doing the massages, and specifically not myself onto someone, but getting that as a service, especially lymphatic, but chiropractor. I'm really, really, really big on that. So the
Yes.
more I was doing things and I was seeing naturally what it was doing for me,
Mhm.
with all the things that I was doing professionally, which were physical. It wasn't like I was able to sit down and, just be in an
Yeah.
office. So I was on the move.
Right.
Realized that that was the more and more I was talking to people, the more and more people were like, you know what? You
Mhm.
should be doing this or you should be doing that. And then I guess after a while you can hear it, but so much till
Yeah.
you know that God's knocking on your door and you're like, okay, I think it's time to talk
Yes.
and have these either round table talks or, whatever it is, so we can get this out in the open and
So let me
really,
Mhm.
talk about it.
Right. So let me ask, do you work alone or are you part of a team? Because I know you mentioned, yes,
Like a preferred professional type of
yes.
well, I do when I say I work alone, the business is a new you wellness is obviously, me, but I have a team of preferred professionals.
Okay.
So, of course, not everyone's deemed equal. And I'm just using this as an example because it's coming off the top of my head. That's just like we can go to one doctor
Mhm.
and that's not gonna be the same as this doctor over here,
Right.
whether that's medical, whether that's psychiatric, whether that's chiropractor, whether that's there's so many different things that's out there that people are not maybe utilizing. So what I've done is everyone that is part of my panel with this go around with this, I patronize all of them. So
Yes.
it's not like I'm just throwing a panel and
Right.
and say, "Oh, I met this person over at the Whole
Mhm.
Foods and this is what they do." No, I utilize them and have used them for some years. So I know that this is what helps me on a daily basis, because as we have all of our stressors, which I use
Mhm.
that very loosely. It could be anything in life. Hell, it could be just going out and driving. I know I just came back from that. And I'm like, okay, come on, Cassandra, get it together. You literally just had a massage. And then now you
Yeah.
busy on the road
Just
like
5 minutes after, yeah. Right.
but guess what? I know what that does to my cells,
Mhm.
because it's creating an undue, unnecessary stress onto me, which is affecting my whole overall body. So it's how I react with things. So I have, even though they're not all in as far as a new you wellness, but I
Yeah,
bring people to
good.
partner in with me as preferred professionals. So when I'm dealing with someone specifically, I can say, okay, this is who you need to go to at
Right.
this
I
point
love that.
or at this stage.
Yes, okay. Yeah, that's great, that's great. Okay, so let me ask here, as far as, I guess, methods of framework, right? With
Mhm.
your coaching, when you get people to come in, how do you design that wellness plan for them? That's yeah,
The biggest thing I would say
where do you
is
start?
I like obviously talking, you
Mhm.
know, that
Yeah.
ain't no secret. But I like to talk to people to really, really get an idea of who they are and what they are doing as far as their everyday, not necessarily eating. We'll get into that. but to really find out what their habits are. Because what I found for myself was I'm running around like a crazy person because it was my job or over here, like going around the world. Then I would come back and have either this client for hair or this client for real estate. Like I was always doing something, but no one could custom blend what I needed down
Right.
to if I'm going to a trainer for fitness,
Mhm.
they still could not custom that because in my mind, I was like, but suppose if I can't eat that? Suppose if that's not
Right.
what's for my body? Suppose if I don't want to eat that? That are like I've always had these questions and no one could answer it. So I said, okay, well, I guess that's up to me to do that. So for
Right.
me, it's really sitting down with each person, getting an idea of their lifestyle, what they want to change, what they want to adjust, what they want to shift. And then we kind of write out a plan from there
Good.
because not everything for people is about just a weight release. For
Right.
them, it could be just a stress release. Or how do I make my life better based off of where I am now and help me to add certain tools into
Right.
my life to shift me a little bit so I can be
Yeah.
less stressed or a little bit better. So every person is different. There's always but everyone pretty much has the same
Right.
framework or methodology, so to speak, because we write everything down. They leave with me with from me from having
Yeah.
everything that they need to get started for their wellness. And mostly it starts with food or anything else or whatever quote unquote ailment they
Okay.
might be having because it comes out through the physical.
Okay. I think that's something to highlight and that's special about a new you wellness because a lot of times you will go to coaches and it is a general framework. So
Correct.
it's nice to know that you do have a basis, but then you customize it, listening to them and their specific needs and what they can do and cannot do and what exactly will work for them. So I think that's definitely something that's going to set you apart.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah. What do you do to track the progress? I know you said you write everything down, which is great. And accountability, because I think that's a huge yes. You already know. Yeah, that's a huge thing.
Already know.
So when people come to you and let's say they're not necessarily getting the results that they want, how do you track that progress and still feel that you were successful, if you will, in your program, even if they didn't, you know, get to their goal because
Right. Well, first off, a goal happens and it takes more than a week. I'm of the
Mhm.
society of pre-technology slash social media.
Yes.
So I understand the value of, and you didn't have any other choice. My mom didn't have a microwave.
Mhm.
She didn't want one when it came out. I'm
Yeah.
happy she didn't
Mhm. Yeah.
because
We
now
know ways that
later, yeah, you
Mhm.
learn all that it does to your foods from when you're heating it.
Mhm.
That's just pretty much how we are from when we're in the plane. We're like the little product in the microwave when we're on the plane flying. It's the same type of thing.
Mhm.
So even though I write things down, but I'm really big on the filing system. So when people aren't getting to that point, then I'm tacking it a little bit differently. For example, like someone might have problems with their back or
Mhm.
their knees or their feet or their ankles or whatever. And all of that is tied into an emotion, right? So what I'm doing is because I have my preferred professionals, and if they're coming to me, they're entrusting in me in obviously the guidance of what I'm telling them to do. So what I end up doing is saying, okay, here we go with the back. Sometimes they might not get to that goal or the food part because there's other things that they have to release
Yeah.
in order for their end goal to
Mhm.
happen.
Okay.
So I'm here to help them
Wow.
shift and walk them through. Is almost like hold hand type of process. So they
Mhm.
really understand what they need to do and how they need to do it. Because it is more than just, I think if people overall learned more
Mhm.
patience and being more patient with themselves, that would aid tremendously because they have to realize that, what do they say? Rome wasn't built in a day. Well, it really wasn't.
Mhm. And
And
what I
we can't get to those next levels unless we give ourselves the time to
yes.
get to those. I like working on myself.
Mhm.
So I know the length of time. You might be at this point and that's where you are, and I might be stuck right here, but that's only a limited time because I'm doing the work necessary in order to get to the next step for myself, which
Right.
comes from the emotional, the mental, and the
Exactly.
physical and the spiritual.
Yes. And a lot oftentimes too, like you said, it's not gonna take a week to resolve because it didn't take a week to be created, you know? It's
Right,
yes, exactly. So
right.
that's a good point there. So with that, what type of challenges, because just as a wellness coach in general, right? What type of challenges do you face or do you foresee um in your field? Like what's
The biggest challenge
pretty
I think that I see, and this probably won't be surprising to you because people overall are, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with the doctors, not saying that we have doctors in my family and it's nothing wrong with that. But I think people, because they want a quick fix,
Mhm.
they're not paying attention enough to
Mhm.
realize what can aid them and what can harm them. And them not even realizing that whom they're going to for this assistance.
Mhm.
And I've seen the difference from going to the doctor from when I was a child up until now is not the same rodeo.
Not at all. Not at
They
all.
will almost give you or prescribe you anything
Mm.
to either get you out the door.
Mhm.
And again, I'm not saying this is everybody, but I have doctors, but they're preferred. That's part of my preferred professionals.
Yes.
I've sifted through who I feel like people should go to, and
Yeah.
for a reason.
Mhm.
The biggest problem is what people believe in.
Mhm.
And because their beliefs are
Yeah.
it like starts all the way from their perception,
Right.
which starts from where, how we grew up.
Mhm.
So a new you wellness is very unique because of the fact that it is kind of, well, it's no kind of, it is really like putting in, turning turning and say, come on, get it out, get it out.
Right.
Let's get whatever it is that's ailing you, whether it is physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, like, or financially, let's get it out.
Mhm.
Because and I think for me, that's what I see the most is because people believe what they believe and that's it. So now their ears are closed.
Right.
Because I'm really big on, as we know, the cognitive dissonance, right? And all those things that we believed up to a certain point,
And
that
a
doesn't
lot of
mean it was
times
right.
yeah, Imma add too, a lot of times people believe things and they don't even know why they believe them. They may just believe them because that's what they was told, that's what they did, that's what they're used to, so it gets deep and, I guess do your research and due diligence of why you're believing what you're believing. Because if it's not serving you and it's, hindering your progress, your growth, or even your health, then so that's a good point. Yeah, so that definitely I could see that being one of the top challenges there. So yes.
Hmm.
So let's get a little bit more into you with your self-care because I always say too, like when you're helping others, you first have to also s- help yourself, right? And make sure. So, what are some of your self-care practices that you do engage in and that you may recommend for others?
Oh, that's real easy because let me
Okay.
tell you, I make it a practice to take care of me
Yes.
daily.
Mhm,
We have all these stresses,
mhm.
and you notice I do that because that's really
Right.
what it is. But as soon as I wake up, I set my own routine.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this to people because I too have done it. There's times that I still do it and I have to reel myself in. I'm a professional at this because I've been doing it for so long, so I know how to be able to aid others with it.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, I wake up, I'm thankful. I usually do my meditations in the evening because that sets the tone for me for the next morning because I'm doing a lot of guided meditation. So that's from my conscious to subconscious mind. And I'm thanking God that I woke up that morning and I have, as they say, a little talk with Jesus.
Mhm.
And then I go into my little methods,
Mhm.
whether it's, you know, there's things that I'll do that if I felt a certain way, I try to make sure that blood goes to the brain. So there's things that we can do to make that happen, because we don't do that as much because we're lying on that pillow. And then as soon as we get up, everything's upright. So the blood to the brain is really huge. Like if someone has like the inversion table, they can do that. But if you don't have that, tipping your head on the side of the bed and letting it be there for about 3 to 5 minutes, that helps. And then especially any form of stretching, sometimes before I even get out of the bed, or I keep my mat like right there on the by the bedside. So there's like no excuse. It's like, hit it, girl. This is what you have
Right.
to do.
Mhm.
And after I'm big on stretching because even the physical part really isn't a vigorous, heavy workout. It's really about the stretching
Right.
and the flexibility. And that's why lymphatic is so good because we have things like bunched up that we're
Yes.
not like getting like moving so it can go fluidly throughout the body. And I'm
Stress.
I'm a reader.
Yeah,
So
oh, sorry. The stress gets tied up in the joints. So when
yep,
you're stiff, a lot of people they're just thinking they're stiff, and I'm like, no, that's your stress. That's your body telling you too that it's holding on to a lot of things. So when you open up and you get more flexible, you're actually releasing more things there. So
right.
yeah,
That's
that's
right. So that's part of my wellness. And then I do all, of course, the positive
mhm.
affirmations because I read positive things that is going to be aiding me, and I'm big on aiding me. So
Yeah,
I'm heavy with the chiropractor, heavy with the massage therapist, heavy with therapy. People are like, why are you going to therapy? Listen, I stays on the couch.
yeah,
Did somebody turn around and say something to me about something? I said, I got a name and number.
right.
So that's not my level of what it is that I do, because that's totally different with life coaching. But let's go over here. You go over there because I am not that. I never claimed to be any doctor, nurse, whatever, the
And
above,
I I'm glad that you said this, and that's why I wanted to ask that question, what type of self-care and things that you do, because oftentimes people think that if you're a life coach, they'll think you have everything all figured out and you don't need any counseling. I'm like, so yes, I
Say
yes,
that
that
I'm a person
yeah.
first. I said that when we first got started, like
Yeah,
I'm a person first. It is me first.
right.
So those are
So
the things that I do to keep that wellness going. And let me tell you, if that doesn't work,
mhm,
then I'm on to the next because everyone is not deemed equal, like I said before. So, like, I have maybe 2 or 3 different chiropractors, 4, a matter of fact. And what I'm doing is to be able, because I'm traveled very, very frequently. So I'm working on that team to be collectively in different areas for people. So then that way, depending upon where they go, I've always been one where I traveled to my physician. So if that was someone that I needed, that's
you
where I'm
go
going.
there.
I
That's right.
went back for years to my primary, back to New York, to my dentist in New York. Like that affects me none. I'm going to go to who is going to do what I need done.
Yes, that's very important. All right, so last question here for the most part. Where do because I like to ask this, where do you see yourself, yes, in the next 5 years? I want to ask with this profession, but also just in life in general. Like, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Well, I can see with me in general because I see that every day in my mind. Okay. I'm going to be somewhere. I don't know
Mhm.
where it's going to be. It's
Okay,
just going to be where the spirit leads me to be. And for however long I want to be there. And for without any limitation, like I don't have to come back
right,
to anything. If someone was, this is where I'm going to be. You all can come over here.
right,
'Cause I'm not gonna shake my energy anymore with anything like that, and I think because of who I am in that way, the business will thrive even more because people are learning slowly but surely, but they're learning that they have to take care of themselves first because you gotta do that first before anything else, before anyone else, because it's so easy to have, okay, I'm doing this for the spouse, I'm doing this for the kids, I have this with the parents or the grandparents or whatever would work, but it's too much.
right,
So 5 years from now, because I'm working on some things, because I always have it, major end goal, because I want to really be able to help others see a different route
right.
business wise for themselves and create that space and a safe space for people to go to, all women,
Mhm.
men, because we don't
Right.
have that.
Right. And I really want to highlight on that too, whereas you being mindful of what you need and your own self-care, because when people are busy taking care of everybody else around them and the other people they may love you, right? But they don't know that what you
Right,
need. So they're
right.
not suggesting, oh, go get a massage, oh,
Oh
go,
no.
they're not. So you have to really say, "Hey, I need to go get a massage. I need to relax and have your own sense of I'm a little stressed right now."
They can care let me tell you something. People,
Yeah.
my family's probably like, Lord, this one right here. Look, I, cause I don't, I care. Don't get it wrong, people.
Mhm.
I really do
Yeah.
care. But I really have learned
Mhm.
along my life on how to really take care of me in the midst of all of the hustle and bustle and the chaos. And at the end of the day, I learned at a very early age that family are people too.
Yes.
So just because they're family, the loyalty that we have within our family does not always aid us to be our highest and best anything. So, and of course, is within limitation because we might have, like I said, spouses, kids, nieces, nephews. Like sometimes life throws that monkey wrench and you have to do certain things differently, but you have to know even more how to take a step back
Right.
and really genuinely take care of yourself
Yes.
because I can tell when things are like, ugh, like
Mhm.
what are we doing? Like I'm ready, like I can tell like I'm about to make a t-shirt. I want people to know don't talk to me, don't say nothing to me because
Right.
this ain't the day today. I don't know
Yes.
what's happening, but I have that moment and through who I train under and have taught under, well actually,
Right.
been doing work with, I've learned so much. And the biggest thing that I've taken with me is I have 3 days and Sharon, if you see this, Lord knows, I know you know, because when she said that, I was like,
Shout out to Sharon.
"Right." Shout out to Sharon. I was like,
Yeah.
and she's from New York too, so she understands. I was like, 3 days, 3 days. And I know you can relate, right? Because you
Yeah.
were like,
Right.
you're like, yeah, I got that over here. You deal with that
Mhm.
every day. I'm like, three
Exactly.
days? What 3 days to do what? I had to get it out my system, whatever I was angry about,
Mm.
upset about, or whatever.
You
I
have
had
to.
3 days to wallow in that.
Mhm.
And past those 3 days,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And I had to make that a practice. And one thing that I do, because do think outside of the box, but I do stay very regimented and consistent and focused with what I'm doing. That's why I'm able to help others to do the same thing, because like you said, between the accountability,
Mhm.
between the consistency, the focus, all that's out the window. You know that, because no one, look, we have accessibility to everything 24 hours a day.
Right. Well, you have dropped a lot of gems in this interview. So definitely, I want you to please share where we can find you, where we can learn more about you, and definitely all of your socials. So plug. Give us
Plug,
all.
plug, plug. Well, the biggest thing is, thank you for sharing my website on there, because that has been very, very huge. Very happy and proud of that. Anyone that needs to know anything more about, especially the conference, that's on www.Aneu Wellness, and Aneu is spelled ANEU, the letter U, and the word wellness.com. And then, of course, I'm here on TikTok, here
Yes,
on IG, as well as Facebook. So follow, like, share. I always say that. I have a bio, of course, the link trees in my bio, so you can reach out to me via there. So they can always set up, a quick appointment, whether it's a calendar or whatever, or just reach out, message. I'm reachable. I'm not so far where I just can't be reached or messaged or whatever, but the calendar links usually help. But that's all in the bio. You can see that through
perfect.
IG. But most definitely, like, follow, and share, because I just have so much. And this was perfect for the ladies.
Yes.
Perfect
All
for
right,
the ladies.
everybody. So yes, again, this is Cassandra Mack of A New You Wellness. So check her out at her on her website, on IG, on TikTok, and on all the socials, and her upcoming Women's Health Conference, which is in October. What's the dates?
21st is on 21st in Charlotte. We're right outside of Charlotte. So we're
Right.
gonna be here in effect. And Tracy, thank you.
Yes,
I'm
thank
happy
you.
that you decided to do this with me, and I'm the first.
You're the first Dynamic Business Network.
I'm
All
the
right. Thank you
first.
so
Thank
much.
you.
All right. Take care.